So how things are.
Do you need a wide angle lens for this?
Everything is good, Billy.
The cameras, the
Business
robotic
now.
cameras are gonna pick this up and the audio.
Oh.
Season, and then any of.
Paul, is Tommy John coming?
I'm texting him and calling him. I can't get in touch with him.
Okay, so we might as well get started.
You can begin.
All right, thank you all for coming out. I was gonna say this morning, it's noon. It is the season, they say, to be jolly, right? It's the holidays, and we want everybody to be able to have a great time with their loved ones, families and friends. We've got Thanksgiving coming up, and then, of course, Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's. But it's also a time that people like to celebrate, and with that often involves particularly alcohol. And alcohol, we all know, is a debilitating substance. It affects your reaction time, everything. And if people get behind the wheel, and they put their own lives at risk, but they also put others' lives at risk. A lot of innocent people have perished because of somebody else thinking they're just having a good time. And then they get behind the wheel. And we know how that story goes. And there's just too many tragedies, too many tragedies. So, this always feels redundant, but we say it every year. We say it every year to be responsible. Be responsible. We're not telling you not to have a good time. We're just asking you to be responsible. Do not get behind the wheel after drinking. I know people think, they can make it home or whatever. So many don't make it home. So I want to thank the Addiction Recovery Task Force for putting together, bringing us together so we can collectively send a message to all of our residents, reminding them about the dangers of using substances like alcohol or marijuana or whatever it might be, and impairing their ability to operate a motor vehicle. So with that said, we have a number of people here. I don't even know who should go first, so I guess we're going to start Drew, or Chief. All right, so we're going to go to our esteemed Chief of Police, James Kiernan, who's going to be out there patrolling. So.
Thank you, Supervisor. Like the Supervisor mentioned, the holiday season is a season to celebrate, and a lot of times people celebrate with alcohol. Alcohol, drug driving, distracted driving, these things lead to fatalities. We do our best in Southampton Town Police Department to prevent crimes from happening. We don't want to fill our jails with DWI arrests. We really don't. We want messages like this to resonate. We want people not to get behind the wheel after they've been drinking or anything else. We want people to drive safely and not distracted. We will, however, in an effort to prevent fatalities, we will fill our jails. We will be out there patrolling, and we will try to prevent fatalities from happening by arresting people who don't heed to this message. So please, please listen. Please go out, have a great time, celebrate with each other, have a wonderful holiday season. If you're going to drink, if you're going to partake in things, use Uber, use Lyft, use taxis, get places safely. Thank you.
All right, Drew, you want to take it now?
Yeah, well, they
Scott?
talk about the 100 most dangerous days during the summer, but these are probably the second most dangerous days during the holidays. So please slow it down. And we talk about buzz driving, but also don't drive when you're tired either. That's just as dangerous. So slow it down, please, and designate a driver wherever you can. It's going to save a life.
And Drew, you're with the Addiction Recovery Task Force,
Yes, and behavioral committee, right.
Behavioral Committee. Thank you. John, Councilman Bouvier?
Well, I every time of the year like this, that I remember 3 friends that I lost in high school to a terrible car accident. And it was Christmas Eve, and their families were obviously distraught. I remember it every year. I can never get that out of my head. And I think you should take responsibility for what you do on the roads, but also be aware of what you do to your families and your friends and the people around you. I think that should motivate you to do the responsible thing, and not only live, but live with people who love you and want you with them. That's my message.
Thank you. Councilman Martel?
So I have to take a deep breath because this always hits personal for me. In 1978, 19 years old, just out of high school, I was doing the right thing. I was the designated driver with a bunch of my friends. I had taken one of my friends home who had gotten into a little fight at a local establishment. I was coming back to pick up the rest of my friends, and I got head on to a drunk driver by Steers Bellows, 60 miles an hour, each of us going at the time. Ended up in Southampton Hospital, tremendous injuries to my face, my hip had been pushed through the socket, my car had caught on fire. The only thing that probably saved my life that day was that I had the gentleman in front of me was a sheriff's deputy. So when he got out of the way and the car hit me, he was able to radio. We got the ambulance and everybody right away. Great work by Southampton Hospital. And just like John says, I've been able to get married, have my children, and serve my community since then because of the great work of our EMS. But it really stresses for the holidays not to drink and drive, because you do take it out on your families, you know, your neighborhoods, and it's important that we do have the ride share services that we do now. I do keep a picture of the car with me at all times to remember exactly what can happen. So please, you know, take a ride share. I think I said it last year, call me, do whatever you have to do, get a ride home, don't drink and drive, don't be under the influence of drugs, and please take care of yourself and your family on the holiday.
Councilman Mackey?
I think you've all kind of touched on the driving and imbibing. I'll touch on the mental health aspect of our committee, and we think of the holidays as a happy time to gather with friends and relatives, and it's also a very sad time for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people struggling, going through a lot of things. And you know, if you know somebody who has just gone through something difficult, reach out to them, because they're not always going to reach out to you, and check in and make sure they're okay, and really know there are numbers to call, there are people to get in touch with if you need help. And if you're down and depressed, reach out to somebody by all means, because we really do. I mean, it's not a happy time of year for everybody, and you know, they need support at this time of year.
Well said. Kim Lowry from Hugs?
Awesome. Thank you, and thanks to Southampton Town for allowing this committee to exist and encouraging it, and for moments like this where we get to talk about our collective responsibility. And our communities are definitely our collective responsibilities, and whether you're in law enforcement or you're making policy or you're supporting programs like Hugs and Thrive do, it's about how do we all increase community health and keep folks as safe as we possibly can. The holidays certainly are, as everybody talked about, they're challenging, they're exciting, they're fun. We get to connect as family, and then we have the busyness of the holidays. And in that busyness, it's easy to quick answer a text message while you're driving, and yet we think we can handle all this, and the truth is distracted driving is a major cause of car crashes. We have opportunities to celebrate with our families, and those opportunities are great times for conversations. As college kids come back for the very first weekend home after being away, it becomes a time when families have to have those conversations about where they're going out. And sometimes it's tough because their kids are like, I've been living on my own for 6 weeks. What do you mean there's a curfew and things to talk about in the house? And so it becomes important to use teachable moments, opportunities to communicate, to talk about family policy, to talk about family practice. And as we move through to Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's, it also becomes important to remember not everybody drinks. And so when they come to your house to celebrate, maybe offer them an alternative, or we don't know exactly who's struggling with addiction, right? And so making sure that we have opportunities where there's alcohol and marijuana-free gatherings, making sure that if you do have alcohol or marijuana, that you keep it out of the reach of kids, that you model appropriate behavior, you have meaningful conversations with them, and you use these opportunities, even in the Christmas time, as ways of family prevention and to enhance family policy. And lastly, we can't say it enough, is to make sure you reach out. Reach out if you're feeling down. There's plenty of places to call, and we'll make sure those hotlines are readily available for you. There are places to reach out. There are people who are willing to sit and talk with you and spend time with you. And lastly, let's make sure we just keep you off the road while you're distracted under the influence of marijuana and or alcohol. Thanks.
631-952-3333. That's the number, 24/7.
Thanks,
Anybody
Joe.
from the back row want to say anything?
Yeah, I will say something if I can. So, also, just remember our social host laws. I know that this is a season, as we're saying, to have celebrations, to have guests over. But again, the social host law is just be responsible that you are liable legally for the alcohol that you serve to anyone else that is attending your parties, whether it's in your home or whether at another location. Including our youth, it is illegal to serve alcohol to a minor that is not your child. So just be aware of that, and please keep everybody safe. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was Tracy Colson, the Director of our Youth Services. Anyone else? Good. So, once again, we're just asking people to be responsible. It doesn't seem like a lot to ask. And just, hopefully people will heed that advice. But when you're on the road, you got to keep your eyes out for people who might not be heeding that advice. So be aware. So again, everybody, the town board and the community, we want everybody to enjoy the holidays. We want you to have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. That's not in question. We're just trying to prevent tragedies. That's all. So we hope that you take this to heart if you're listening, and behave appropriately, act responsibly. And once again, thank you to the Addiction and Recovery Task Force for mental health. I forget the full name of it. Behavioral Health Task Force for the work that you guys have been doing. It's so important in this community, and thanks for helping to amplify this really important message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, thank